All right, so what do you guys think? Should we run the Wickerbill or should we not run the Wickerbill? Please comment down below what you guys think. Now let's go ahead and we'll jump into the install. What's up guys, we're back again today with another great video, and in today's video we're actually going to be working on the Corvette. As you guys can see right here, our good friends over at SuperAutoUSA sent us out a Z06 spoiler for the Corvette, so we're going to get to make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more, I don't know, kind of give it a more edgy look to the car. Something I've been wanting to do for a while was upgrade this spoiler, so let's go ahead and we'll get into it. So as you guys know, we've got a C7 Z51 package Stingray. So ours does have the Z51 spoiler in the back of it, which looks like this. So, you know, it's kind of a little shorter. It's actually a pretty good looking spoiler on the back of the Corvette. I like it way better than, you know, nothing back here at all. I think the Corvettes look weird when they don't have anything back here at all. And as you guys can see, we wrapped it in the forged carbon fiber, which matches, you know, some of the other accents on the car that we did up here on the hood and also on the side skirts down here as well. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this unboxed, and I'm actually going to do a time lapse, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to wrap the new Z06 style spoiler in this same forged carbon, so that way it matches all the other accents we have on the car already. So I'm going to go ahead and get this unboxed right here. We got our little helper over here today. And we'll go ahead and start getting this wrapped up. That way we can install it on the car. All right, so I went ahead and I actually unboxed it. This way you guys can kind of see what it looks like. So as you can see, this has, you know, the higher peaks on the side. This is our Z51, this is the Z06. This is kind of how it looks from the side view. And then you can kind of see right here on the back how it comes up a lot higher, and then it notches down right here and then comes back up. So it's almost kind of like a duckbill look. And as you guys can see right here on the side and right here, how it's a pretty good amount taller than this. And then here is your main centerpiece, and as you guys can see right here, it looks really similar to the factory Z51. All right, so I'm actually going to go ahead and disassemble these winglets back off. I just kind of put them on there to show you guys. One cool thing about this is when we're wrapping it, we can really just wrap the top surface of this base piece right here, and then the back a little bit, and then the winglets will cover the sides and this part of the back. So I'm actually going to put you guys on a time lapse while I wrap this. So if you guys don't want to see the time lapse or whatever, you can actually skip ahead now, and it'll jump ahead to where I'm actually going to go ahead and start taking off the back bumper. That way we can get to the bolts up underneath the spoiler right here to take the factory Z51 off.
Sitting lonely in my room again, trying to find the words to say, but nothing comes out. I am looking for the better days, seem like they just stay away whenever I try. There's so many things that I keep in my mind.
All right guys, so we got everything wrapped up as you guys can see in that time lapse. My camera did die. It took me a decent amount of time to get everything wrapped for it. But that's kind of why I showed you all what they look like at the end, and I'll show you guys again what they look like right here. So I actually hadn't cut the holes out yet on this one, but you guys can see right here, there's the holes that are going to attach the winglet pieces to the spoiler right here. And you can see this is the Z51 right here, and this is the new stage 3 spoiler. Obviously this one doesn't have the holes in it, that's why the winglets wouldn't work on it. And then this actually has like a little notch piece right here to make the winglets sit flush looking from the backside, so you can kind of see what they look like there. All in all, pretty good process. I would just say, you know, if you guys are going to wrap it, just be careful in all your corner spots right here, because that's where the wrap's going to want to bunch up at, and you kind of got to, you know, heat it up and pull it over it so it don't leave fingers. I'm going to go over all the tools you guys are going to need really quick for the project. So let's go ahead and take a look right here. So one thing that I'm going to do that didn't come with the kit, but I have it here myself, is some thread locker. You know that spoiler's going to want to move and stuff in the back. That's just a good way to make sure that none of these screws are going to back out on you over time. We got some painter's tape. We've got to take off the trim around your tail lights in the back, and this is going to protect your paint while you're doing that. Also, you're going to need a trim tool for that step as well, or a flathead screwdriver, but a plastic trim tool would be key just to make sure you guys aren't going to mess up the paint. I do have this screwdriver right here. I've actually got a better one, but it lets you put in the different sizes. Because we're going to be using a couple different sizes here. To take most of the screws off of the back bumper is going to be a T15, which is right here. And then if you're going to use the hardware that they sent with it, it's actually a Phillips head. So we've got a Phillips head here as well. As you guys can see up here, I actually bought some other hardware to go with it that's black. Let me grab some right here out so that way you guys can see it. So I actually bought these Allen head ones right here that are black, and I'll actually leave these down below as well. You guys can kind of see the sizes right there, because there is two different sizes. You've got some shorter ones and longer ones. The longer ones are for where that plastic Wickerbill piece is going to go in the back, and the shorter ones is for the winglets. So just make sure that you do pay attention of the two different sizes. This actually comes with a bit, which is really nice, so we'll use that to put those on. This is kind of my preference because I did wrap it in that forged carbon, and I didn't want like the silver hardware on that black. I just thought it'd look a lot sleeker with the black hardware, and then I just went with the Allen because I just felt it look a little nicer. You're also going to need a 10mm and a 7mm, and this is going to be to take off all the bolts going up underneath holding the rear bumper on, and this is actually going to be able to release your headlight housings. Once we pull the bumper back, the headlight housings themselves are actually going to have some 7mm on it, and we've got to pop those back so we can get the bolts that are going up underneath that Z51 spoiler. And also they sent some 3N double-sided tape. This is actually going to go on the main spoiler part and just help stick it down to the car. And I almost forgot one of the most important tools. So this is actually the box that the spoiler came in. I'm actually just going to sit it underneath the rear bumper right here, so that way when we pull, as you can see, it's pretty close right here. That way when we pull the bumper off, the bumper, because I'm doing this by myself, it won't fall and hit the ground and scratch your paint underneath. So just make sure that you can use this as a tool to kind of help you if you're doing it by yourself. All right, so the first step we're going to do is we're actually going to grab this seal right here, and that's where we're going to get to our T15s. So we're going to pull this out right here. Some of them are clipped in kind of hard, some of them aren't. But just go straight across. You can kind of use your hand and push up if it's not wanting to pop out good. And then once you get that seal off right there, now we can get right here and you can see all the T15s that go across. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 T15s that run across. So here's the T15s that I was talking about that are running right across the back. So we've got to take out all those, which I'm going to do right now. And I actually have our drill that we're going to use to just take them out right here. Here is all 10 of our T15s that run across that back side right there. As you guys can see, they're all the same size, lengthwise and everything. So I'm going to keep these in the back of the car. All right, so now we're down here near the exhaust. And as you guys can see right there and right here, we've got two 10mm that we've got to get off. For this, you may want an extension because it'll be hard to get it off or get your socket to it. These are going to be the 10mm. So let's go ahead and we'll get these two off. And here is number 2 right there. So we'll keep both of these down here, that way we know that they go back into the two 10mm down by the exhaust. So here's what those look like. All right, so since we're already down here, we're going to go ahead and take, as you guys can see, there's one right here and one right there. These are going to be your 7mm. So you've got 2 on this side, so your passenger side, and then there is 2 on the driver's side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off. You're also going to have to take, as you guys can see, there's 3 over there, and there's going to be 3 on the driver's side as well. We'll take those off right here in a second after we get our mud flaps popped loose from the rear. So we'll go ahead and take these 4 off first, and then we'll go to either side and do those. All right, so we're on the passenger side of the car. So this step you're actually going to have to do on both sides of the car, and it'll be the exact same. So you're going to take off these 3 7mm right here that you guys can see. And then what we're going to do right here, as you guys can see, I already popped it off a little bit to show you guys, but this is clipped in. This is like your little mud flap piece. So you're just going to pop this all the way down, just like that. And once you get down here at the bottom, don't pull anymore, because one of those 7mm is what holds it on down here at the bottom. What this is going to allow us to do, and I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera, I might have to take the mud flap the rest of the way off, but there's actually a T15 right here and a T15 right there, and that's actually what holds the lining right here of your inner fender in, and that's what's connected to the back bumper. So we got to get both of those off. All right, so we've got all 3 of those 7mm out. As you guys can see, I've got them laid right here. Now we can actually grab this and just pop it out the rest of the way, and it should just fall down just like that. So now that we've got that out, you guys should be able to see now right here. It's still kind of dark in here, but you guys can see now the T15s that are right there and right there. So as you guys can see, once you put this bit on right here, there's like no room left. And this is where this is really tight right here, as you guys can see. But what you can do, let me see if I can do it with one hand, is you can actually take one of these little wrenches, put on there, and once you loosen it a couple turns right here, just like this, once you loosen it a couple times, you can actually unscrew the rest of it by hand. So that's how I'm going to do it. All right, so we've got both of those out, and here is what they look like. So pretty much the same exact screw as the ones that go underneath, but you've got a bigger washer on, and that's what helps hold that fabric in right here. So as you guys can see, it is loose now right here. So everything's loose on this side, and we're almost ready to take the back bumper off. There's actually 2 screws hidden behind the taillights right here. And we're going to have to take off this trim, the headlight or the tail light trim right here, to be able to get to those. So all right, so I've got both bezels off already, so I'm just going to explain it because it would have been hard to film that. So what we did is we put our painter's tape down right here, and we took our pry tool right here and started popping off. As you guys can see right here, right there, and right there, that's where some of the clips are. So you're going to want to go in between those to pop those out. Also down in this corner right here is actually one of the easier places to get it out at. I actually grabbed those vents right there and kind of pulled, and I was able to pop this edge and kind of work it this way. They are in there really tight. Mine were in there super tight because I have these tent pieces on right here and right here, which made it a little harder. So the T15s that we've got to get out from back here are actually, let me grab my phone so we'll have a flashlight, are actually right up there. So there's one right there, and then on the same spot on the other side, you'll see it's right up there. Right there. So those are the 2 T15s you guys are going to have to take out, and then from there we should be able to pull the bumper off, and then we can loosen up the housings, the taillight housings, and then we can get to those bolts that are underneath holding the Z51 spoiler on. So now what I'm going to do before I pull it, before I start popping it off, and we'll actually start in the corners and kind of pop it off in the back, I'm actually going to take this box and move it underneath. That way the fascia or the rear bumper don't fall and hit the ground. It'll kind of keep it up a little bit, because we don't have to fully remove and unhook everything. We just got to be able to access those bolts in there. All right, so we've got our box underneath and we're ready to take the bumper off. All right, so we can almost take the spoiler off now. So we actually need to undo the tail light housings. So as you guys can see right here, there's actually a 7mm right there, and there's going to be 4 of those. So you've got one right there, one right here, one right there, and then there's actually one right down here underneath. I just can't get the camera to it. So once you loosen up those 4, then we'll be able to access all these bolts right there. So we've got all 4 of our 7mm right here, and as you guys can see, what I did is I just flipped the lights straight down right here. There's actually like it's actually your rear bumper support. You can just set them right on that and on that right here. Now we'll have access to the 10 millimeters. If you guys can see, there's two right here, then there's another one right in here, and then when you get to the middle, there's 1, 2, 3, one here, and two in the corner again right here. So we're gonna go ahead, let me see if I can show you guys right here. There's what the two look like, and you've got another one right there, and then you're gonna have three running across. The way I know kind of where they're at is I'm looking at the spooler, our new stage 3 spooler. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 running across the middle. You've got your one right here, your two in the corner, one right there, two in the corner again. So I'm going to start working on removing that. Once we get that removed, we'll probably clean up the top of the rear bumper right here and go ahead and put that new one on. And as you guys can see, pretty dang dirty underneath there, so we'll go ahead now and we'll clean all this off. That way it's nice and clean for the new spooler. Alright, so we've got it all cleaned up right here. We're ready to go ahead and put the new spooler on. One thing I will tell you guys is, you know, if you wanted to change your tail lights or add, you know, rear diffusers or anything like that, you could always buy this spooler and then get your tail lights too and do it all at the same time, because you're going to have to do this same process to put new tail lights in or to put a rear diffuser on. So that's one thing to think of while you're doing this, is you can actually go ahead and kind of do multiple mods at one time. So here is where some of the thread locker is going to come in handy. I don't know if you guys noticed, but actually on the factory bolts, you can see right here inside of that nut right there, there's some blue, and that is actually what this is, which is the thread locker. So we're going to put that on some of these. So you're going to need 9 of the small ones, and these are going to be Phillips head to go into this new spooler. So this is where your Phillips head will come in handy, your blue thread locker, and then you can use your drill. Just be careful not to over tighten them, because then you'll spin the inserts on the inside. First things first though, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to set up the double-sided tape on the spooler. I'll show you guys where I put that at, and then we'll be ready to stick it on. Alright, so we've got our 3M tape set up. As you guys can see, kind of just mimic the factory. So you can see they had it right there. They had some like little foam tape right here, and right there, and then also some right there. So kind of just did the same thing. Got the 3 spots in the middle and then right there. So just mimic the same setup as it had from factory. Alright, so we've got all of our red backing taken off of our 3M tape. Went ahead and put our thread locker on our 9 screws right here. We've got the drill ready right here. So I'm gonna put you guys on the tripod back here, and we'll go ahead and stick it on. Alright, so we've got the main piece on. As you guys saw in the clip, I kind of just kept working back and forth. One thing is once that tape gets stuck down, it's kind of hard to move it. So that's kind of why I was eyeballing the middle while I was putting it on. You don't want to let that tape stick, because then you're going to have to peel it back off to try to move it, and it just makes it hard to move. I will say, so the center one hole lined up good. The two outer holes from the center hole lined up really good. When we got right here, this one was a little off, and the ends were a little off on both sides. Now, one good thing about it is the end right down here, it actually is slotted. The one in the back is slotted. So pretty much what I did was I took a drill bit right here, and I just slotted the holes that were close. So this front one, I just slotted it out a little bit, slotted the one out a little bit here, and then did the same thing over here. I slotted the hole out right here. That's right in there, and I slotted both of these out on this side. Now, one thing is obviously from factory they mounted that Z51 spooler. If you guys don't have a spooler, or you have a different spooler, your holes could kind of be in a different placement, or they could line up perfectly. So you got to think they're installing these spoolers, and the holes might not be exact every single time. I mean, the holes on this was just off by like that much. That's why I just drilled a little slot in them, and then everything lined up perfect, as you guys can see. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to tighten everything up. I'm probably just going to do it by hand with a screwdriver. Just make sure they're good and snug. It's not going to come off with that 3M tape, that and all those 9 screws on it. There's no way it's going to fly off or have enough downforce on it to rip it off. So don't worry about that. So next step is just tightening those down, and then we can actually go ahead and put the taillights and everything back in. And then once we get the bumper mounted back up, we can put these rear winglets on and put the Wickerbill on. So we got everything tightened up, and you guys can see right there, looks really good. There's no gap in between. Looks great fitment wise right in here. All right, so we've got our taillights back in now, and now we're to the point where we can go ahead and actually put the back bumper on. The main spot you're going to want to look is right down here. Obviously this piece has to go up and over your exhaust tips right here, so just know that you're going to have to do that right there. And then over on this side, if you guys can see right here, see these big squares? That's where these red clips are going to go in. So as you're basically bringing the bumper forward, just make sure you're lining up with these, because those clips pop in right in there. And then obviously once you get it all on, all your holes up here should line up, and that'll kind of let you know you're in the right spot. All right, so we've got our bumper back on and where it needs to be. So now we can go ahead and start putting in all the screws. So I'm going to go ahead and put the ones in right up here and right up there. And we'll go ahead and run these across the top right here. So now we can take our gasket and go ahead and pop it back in. You guys can see right here, you just line it up with the grooves and then it just snaps right in. And then once we get this in, we can actually go underneath the car, and we'll start on this side, go up and across. All right, so we've got our gasket in, as you guys can see, going across. Now we're going to grab our T15, and we're actually going to put these two in first right here. If you remember, we took those off right there and right there, which are these right here. All right, so we got both of those nice and tight right there. Now we can go ahead and take our mud flap and we can pop it back in right here. Let's see, just like this. And once you do that, now we can go underneath the car and do the 3 down here in the corner. And remember, one of those is to your mud flap, so that's why you got to put the mud flap on first. And here's where these 3 are going to go, and then that little mud flap lever that comes down right here, it goes underneath the black piece. So just make sure you put all 3 of these in, then we'll go to the middle and get the exhaust. So before we put the 2 bolts in right here, we're going to go ahead and perform the same thing on the driver's side that we just did on the passenger side. So put your 2 Torx head in there, then go ahead and put your mud flap on, and then put those 3 7mm up underneath. And also, you can't forget about these 2 right here as well before we do the exhaust bolts. So remember, you've got 2 right there that are 7mm as well on both sides, so don't forget those. All right, so we got our final 2 bolts started, and we got the 10mm here and the one on this side as well. If you guys can see it, it's kind of dark right there, but the one right there. And then just make sure you pop back in your little trim pieces that go around your light. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and put our winglet pieces on either side. As you guys can see, this is kind of what it looks like without the winglet piece on, and I've halfway installed the one over here. So as you guys can see, it just gives it a higher look, a more aggressive look. So for these, what you're going to do is as you guys can see, here is the screws that I bought. Like I told you all earlier, I'll leave them in the description below if you're wanting them to be black instead of silver. These are also Allen head, where the other ones are Phillips head. Just remember that your 2 on the inside, or the 2 to the outside of the car, I guess you would say, these 2 out here are going to be your short ones, and the 2 on the inside are going to be the longer ones, because this is where that Wickerbill piece is going to be, and that's going to add a little bit of thickness here, so you're going to need a little bit longer screw. So I'm going to go ahead and install that side on, and once I do that, then I'll go ahead and put the Wickerbill piece on so you guys can see what the full spoiler looks like. I'll show you guys the difference in the screws right here. So this is the black ones on the left that I got, and there's the silver ones on the right that they supply. And again, you have your different lengths. Let me show you right here. So you've got your longer ones, and then you've got your shorter ones, which I've got down below for both of you guys if you want the black. And then here is the ones that they supplied. So you've got the longer one and the shorter one. So it's not much longer, but just enough to get past that extra thickness of that plastic Wickerbill piece right here. All right, so I'll show you guys what it looks like before we put the Wickerbill piece on. So this is kind of how it looks without that on, and this would be considered pretty much the stage 2. And you can run it like this. If you guys obviously order the screws that I got down here, you would just use the smaller ones in the next 2 holes right here and right there. But if you're going to put the Wickerbill on, you got to use the longer ones. So this is what it looks like. As you guys can see, this is what it looks like from the side and the front, looking at it this way. So looks like pretty much a Z06 spoiler, or the stage 3 or stage 2 spoiler. Then once we put the Wickerbill on, that's considered the stage 3 spoiler. All right, so now we've got the Wickerbill piece on right there in the middle. This is the tinted Wickerbill, so it's not the clear one. So you can get a clear one with it, and it kind of like lets you see through it a little bit more. So this is what the tinted Wickerbill looks like on it, as you guys can see. So this would basically make it a stage 3 Z06 style spoiler. So that's what it looks like with that on. Kind of walk around a little bit. Again, I'll take some pictures in the daylight, that way you guys can see it. So, and that's what it looks like in the front. So I think at first I didn't really like the Wickerbill when it was just sitting off the car and I was just holding it up, but now that it's on the car, I think I actually like the Wickerbill on it. I like it in the farthest down position, because there is 3 positions for the Wickerbill. As you guys can see, there's the 3 indicator marks right there. So pretty much you can make it flush with it, or you can make it a little taller than the winglet pieces up there. All right guys, so that is pretty much it for this video. As you guys can see, we did a full step-by-step install of this SuperAutoUSA stage 3 spoiler, or you could say it's as a Z06 type spoiler. Obviously it's an aftermarket one, so it's not the factory OEM Z06, but it looks like it. And you know, this is on a Stingray, so the factory Z06 one wouldn't fit, because you know the fenders and stuff are wider in the back of the car. But anyway, with that being said guys, I would say that this is more on the higher scale. If you want to do this install, it's not as easy as some of the other stuff we've done to the Corvette, because you do have to remove that full back bumper, and you kind of got to make sure everything lines back up when you're putting the back bumper back on. So just make sure that you guys are giving yourself a good amount of time, probably a good full day or a half day to put this on. But with that being said, I had some other projects going on around the house, so it took me 2 days to do it, which also I was filming for you guys as well, and kind of trying to figure it out myself. I didn't really have a video to go off of. I was just kind of figuring it out as I went. But anyway, so like I said, just make sure you give yourself a good half day or a good full day if you've got some other projects going on to kind of do this. And one thing, I don't drive this car every day, so it doesn't hurt me to leave it in the garage, you know, halfway taken apart or whatever, to where I can take a couple days and do it. So just make sure you don't pressure yourself on time, because you do want to, you know, make sure everything lines back up properly so it looks good at the end of the install. We are getting super close to that 5,000 subscriber mark, so I really appreciate you guys and all the support you've been giving me on the channel here recently. We've actually went up a ton of subscribers here lately. And with that being said, I did tell you guys we're going to do another giveaway coming up soon. I just had some products that I wanted to show you guys first. That way, you know, you can get them over the holiday season and stuff like that. But the giveaway video will be coming up soon. We've got 1 or 2 more install videos, and then I'm going to be doing that giveaway video. So again, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the giveaway video and how to enter that giveaway. So anyway guys, peace out, and remember, build your masterpiece.
Hey, I got something to say. I'm just so sick of hearing everyone complain. I know it's tough and I know there's pain, but hitting bottom is the only way to change.